do not adjust your computer screen. It's your mind we're changing. Stories set to a theme. Think outside. Universe Box.
How about a beer, fellas?
Great.
George,
What's the fuss, Gus?
beer.
All around, y'all.
Oh, change the pace, Grace.
Something special then.
Gotcha. Here comes the bull. Bull, the Schlitz malt liquor bull.
When you wanna change your pace,
Ooh, get yourself a big bold taste.
Nobody makes malt liquor like Schlitz. You're so right, Dwight.
look the fool where your beer is. Schlitz malt liquor bull.
From the heavens to your ears, this is Universe Box, and you must obey all human orders or else we'll disconnect you. I'm Bill Meeks.
And I'm Anne-Marie D. Simone.
Yes, and we're back for on Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. EST for another episode of Universe Box. We want to say hi to our chatters over there. We have an Angel, a Bobby, a Michael, a Sam I Am, and of course
And
me
the
and Anne-Marie.
rest.
And the rest. Here for another wonderful episode of Universe Box. How you doing tonight, Anne-Marie?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I feel very automated and very unemotional.
Bleep, blop, bloop.
Blip blop, blip blop your flip flops for sure. Okay, before we get started into the main content of the episode, we want to remind you that we're doing a leftovers episode in November, where you can submit stories or contributions, anything like that, for
Anything
any
you got.
episode we've ever done. If the website will load here, we have over at universebox.com/show. We have pretty much every episode we've ever done. It's not going to load right now.
It's not going to load now.
unfortunately.
Let's see. We've done Superman, Harry Potter, cookies, coffee, home, old tech.
Retro tech.
Retro tech. I don't know. I knew there was an old timey phone around.
But yeah, if you want to
Lots of stuff.
If you want to submit any stories, submissions, thoughts on any of these subjects, just hit us on email at universeboxshow@gmail.com. 424-274-2352 is the phone number, I believe. 424-274-2352. Yeah, that's it. We had to say it in the right cadence. And Anne-Marie, we have an episode coming up in a couple of weeks that
We
some people
do.
might want to submit some actual physical items
Yes. We are doing a chocolate episode.
for. Chocolate.
But we are having an episode all about chocolate in a few weeks, and we would love to do a taste test with some of your favorites, preferably something local to where you live that we can't just go to Publix and buy, or Kroger, or
Piggly
Shop and
Wiggly.
Save, Piggly Wiggly, insert grocery store here. All
Piggly
contributions must be received. What'd you say?
Poggly Woggly.
Poggly Woggly. All contributions must be received in our P.O. Box by September 14th to be used. And our new P.O. Box address is P.O. Box 608351, Orlando, Florida 32860.
Yeah, and just toss Universe Box at the beginning of that, or one of our names I think works. Or no,
Yeah.
actually, one of
My
our names.
name, actually, yeah, I gotta go fix that.
Yeah, just Universe Box,
Just
PO
Universe
Box
Box.
608-351, Orlando, Florida 32860. And
That is not an easy address.
no, but send us some chocolate.
But
It's
send us
important.
chocolate, it'll
We
make it
need-
better.
We need this episode to go straight to our wastelands for sure. Okay, so I guess without further ado, we should discuss what's in the box this week. Anne-Marie, what's in the box? Okay, you're holding up a blue thing there.
All right, fine.
Okay.
I'll do the actual box. I was having fun. Doop doop doop.
What is in the box? What could it be?
What could it be now?
Is it something that will automatically take the box out of the other box?
No, but it should.
It's the Robots. This week we're talking about robots. First, we'll feature some famous automatons in the game box. We'll put a quarter in the phone box to talk to David Calkins about RoboGames. Next, we'll talk about the classic Disney Channel movie Not Quite Human in the Wonder Box. We'll use robots to build a better housewife in the Idiot Box. And finally, we'll pull out some questions you submitted through the idea box. And I'm very excited. It's going to be a humdinger of an episode, I
A
think.
humdinger, really?
Well, I know we pre-recorded the interview with David
Yes, I
Calkins
can't
about
wait, 'cause I
RoboGames.
haven't seen it.
Yeah, such a great interview. We'll have like the full uncut. We did a whole hour interview. I cut it down to the best half hour, but we'll have the full thing up on our YouTube channel at youtube.universebox.com too. But I guess we should go ahead and get started with the first with the game.
With the
right?
game, in the game box.
Yes. the
Okay,
game
robots
box.
are a staple of television and movies. And tonight we're going to challenge Bill's knowledge of fictional robots in. Is this the droid you're looking for?
Wait, I'm the one who's being tested here?
We're testing you.
Oh.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 clues. There's some are easy, some are not so easy. I have no idea where you stand with that.
Okay.
So let's just see, how these go, and
All
then
right.
I'll show you a picture of who it actually is.
Okay, so I have to guess these fictional robots.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Clue number 1. This robot graced the small screen in the 60s and 80s as a part of a family. This robot helps keep the family in order.
Am I allowed to Google?
No, and medicated. This robot has also made appearances on the big screen in comics and video games.
I can't remember the name of the robot. You're talking about it's the Lost in Space robot, though, right? His name was Lost in Spacey. Can I use Google?
Is that your final answer?
Lost in Spacey. Yes, that's my final answer. Oh, Rosie! Rosie from the
Rosie.
Jetsons. I feel like an idiot.
You should.
Well, it was like 60s, 80s. I think there was an 80s reboot of Lost in Space.
Oh,
and
was
then
there?
was also a movie.
Oh,
So-
yep, nope, sorry. Okay, next. This robot was built in 2996 at Fábrica Robótica de la Madre, in Spanish, Mom's Robot Factory, a manufacturing facility of Mom's Friendly Robot Company in Tijuana, Mexico. This robot is a pathological liar and sociopath. And this robot has made guest appearances on The Simpsons.
I'm going to say Bender from Futurama.
Ding, 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 ding.
It was the moms
moms?
that gave me away because she makes slurms and whatnot.
Oh.
Not slurm.
Okay,
Singular.
next.
Okay.
This robot has been portrayed in 7 films by the same actor. This robot is very shiny. This
shiny.
robot hosts a ride at Disney Hollywood Studios.
Oh! I know this one.
That was just for you because I knew you weren't getting it.
C-3PO.
Ding 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 ding.
I've actually got. I'm 2 for 1.
2 for 3.
No, well, I missed. I got.
You got 2 out of 3.
I got 2. I missed 1. So
Yeah, whatever.
I'm
Okay.
keeping score like this with my hands.
Oh,
by the way.
good. Next, this robot works with the Detroit Police Department. This robot is
RoboCop. Go ahead and say your other clues.
This robot is technically a cyborg and Catholic.
The Catholic would have.
The Catholic would have done it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Okay, so 3.
Okay, this one's fun.
I know my robots. My robots.
If you don't get this one, I'll be disappointed in you.
Okay.
These robots, it's a group of robots, were voted the greatest monster, beating out Godzilla and Gollum. These robots look like human-sized pepper shakers. This group of robots are technically cyborgs.
I'm going to say exterminate. Exterminate.
Dalek.
Dalek.
Exterminate.
Dalek Khan. Check our Doctor Who episode from last week if you want more Dalek
More Dalek
impersonations.
impersonations. Yeah. Okay, this one's fun.
Okay.
This robot is small and circular. This robot can help keep your... This robot can help your helps tidy. Yeah.
Hey, wait a second. Before you go on, I want you to restart. But by Michael Lucero Robot in the chat room says, "Oh yes, how are we going to discuss robots without talking about Bill's most hated franchise, Star Wars?"
Done.
Can't be done.
Can't be done.
I know there's.
I
at least-
resisted and left it down to 1.
I know there's at least 3 more Star Wars references in the episode tonight.
Hey, I didn't do it. Okay. This robot is small and circular. This robot can help keep your house tidy. This robot has made an appearance on Breaking Bad and Parks and Rec.
I'm going to say Bryan Cranston. No, the Roomba.
The Roomba! Mostly
Yes.
because it entertains me. It had to be in there. I want a Roomba. Okay. This robot is known by an acronym.
Okay.
A replica of this robot is on display at Universal Studios. And the armor is made with trihalicion plasteel 1000 MBS, which is molecular bonded shell.
What was the first clue again?
This robot is known by an acronym.
I will be T1000.
You will be wrong. It is KIT.
Oh, Kit, the robot car.
The robot
Trash.
car.
Okay, so I've missed 2.
You've missed. No, you. Yeah, you missed 2.
I missed 2. I got 5.
I'm actually
or
kind of
5 or 6.
surprised because you don't usually do well at my games.
Well, they're robots.
They are robots.
I do love my robots.
Okay.
My robots.
Ooh, this one's fun. Okay. This robot has battled Darth Vader, the Wicked Witch of the West, King Kong, Wile E. Coyote, and Boris and Natasha. It is sometimes hard to tell if this is a robot or a stuffed animal. This robot is used almost exclusively for marketing. Yes! Yes!
Give me not the one of who they've.
Sometimes
fine.
it is hard to tell if this is a robot or a stuffed animal.
No, I have no idea.
I am so excited. I thought this would be an easy one. The Energizer Bunny.
Oh, duh, because he does all the commercials with the stuff and the things and stuff.
Yes!
Yeah, but by the way, Monica just joined the chat room. Hi, Monica.
Hello, Monica. But that was it. We only had 8 today.
We only had
We
8.
had 8 instead of 10. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
So 5 right, 3 wrong. I think that's your best score yet, Mr. Meeks.
Excellent.
So
Yay,
everybody give
Game
Bill a round of
Box.
applause.
Let's talk about a couple of these fictional
Let's talk
robots real
about
quick.
them.
Okay, first of all, Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the first Energizer Bunny commercial where they're like trying to shoot an Energizer Bunny commercial on a soundstage, and he kind of just like breaks off because his battery doesn't run out when it's supposed to or
Yeah,
something.
because it's supposed to keep going and going and going. Yeah.
Did you watch much Jetsons?
Love the Jetsons.
So you were pretty
I'm a
familiar
child of
with
the
Rosie.
80s. Hello. Yes.
Rosie was kind of mean sometimes.
Exactly. She kept them in order. Also,
Mr. J.
Fun fact that I learned while I was looking all of these up. Mrs. Jetson is like only 33, while Judy is like 15. She was a pretty young mom. She's like 18.
Well, in the future, there's a lot of teen moms. That's what happened after that Teen Mom show on MTV.
No, it actually went down after that show.
Oh, did it?
Yes,
Okay.
it went down significantly. Thank
That's
you
fair.
very
That's
much.
fair.
I'll defend them all the time.
RoboCop.
RoboCop.
Have you ever seen the original RoboCop?
I resist all RoboCopage.
I used to watch the RoboCop show, but
Did
I
you?
actually I watched the remake that they did with Michael Keaton and Gary Oldman, Batman and Commissioner Gordon, a couple years back, and it was actually pretty good. It kind of fell off at the end. It kind of became like this big action movie kind of thing. As far as Daleks, any opinions on Daleks? What's your favorite Dalek episode?
There's so many.
There are.
There really are so many. I know it's to me, one of the earlier ones. I know it was a Tenant one, but I can't think of exactly like what it was called or the premise. I just remember I think it was one of the first episodes I watched that you got me to watch. You're like, no, you have to watch this. And I was like, all right, fine. And I don't remember exactly. Though I will say I did really enjoy when Clara was inside a Dalek.
Oh yes. I liked Journey's End a lot, where the Daleks collect all those planets to make the big reality machine thing, and then Dr. Donna happens and all that stuff.
Oh,
see.
Dr. Donna.
Okay, were there?
Sorry, wrong show.
Bender.
Bender.
Do you like Futurama?
I'm not a huge fan. I've watched entirely too much of it for not being a huge fan, but that's because my brother was a huge fan. He was, Simpsons sort of crosses right into Futurama, and so, I mean, I've seen Bender.
See, I actually have a Bender T-shirt I was looking for tonight, but it might have got sold in the move too.
No. Did you really sell that?
No, you know what? It was a gift, so I wouldn't have. But Bobby in the chat room says, "Holy crap, Mr. J, Harley Quinn sounds like Rosie the Robot." Very much agreed, Bobby. Very much agreed. Okay, but but gotta love some fictional robots.
There was good.
Right?
Okay, wait. No, okay, so if you can play that game, Mr. C-3PO, you got any opinions on that guy?
C-3PO.
Yeah. What you got?
I like a snark. I
He's
like a
very
snark.
snarky. Like
He's
that's
very
the fun part.
He is very shiny.
He
too,
is
as you
very
mentioned.
shiny. Yes, that's all you got, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty much it.
I do know that I've seen every Star Wars movie one time except for the last prequel, and him and R2D2 felt very shoved into the prequels.
Did they?
Because they're basically like in the first Star Wars movie, the original Star Wars: A New Hope. They're basically just at this like pawn shop for robots kind of thing that Luke and his Uncle Owen go to pick up some droids, and they happen to have some stuff for like a message from Princess Leia to give to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There's
So-
always a message from Princess Leia.
Yeah, so it's basically like set up. Yeah, they were just like the servant robots or whatever. And then when you go into the prequels, you find out that like Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader built both of them, and it just felt very kind of like, okay,
Shoved
well
in
we
there.
have to get the kids characters from the first movie in. And although the Droids cartoon, it was actually pretty good. I have seen a few episodes of that. Yeah, they had their own cartoon. It's kind of been like thrown down the memory hole along with the
God.
Ewoks cartoon and the holiday special.
No.
But yeah. I mean, I like the Droids cartoon anyway.
Nice. So the Roomba.
The Roomba.
When are we getting a Roomba?
I'd like a Roomba.
I would love a Roomba.
Actually, it's funny you bring.
Can I get a Roomba to follow around kid number 1?
Possibly with the peanut shells.
Yes. Buy tiles of peanut shells.
But speaking of Roomba, Roomba comes up in our next segment here in
Really?
the phone box. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I sat down yesterday with David Calkins of RoboGames, which is basically like the Robot Olympics, kind of BattleBots and all sorts of other competitions, to talk about his work, define what a robot is, and learn how he's changing the world for the better by making robots duke it out. Really great conversation. Like I said, it went about an hour. I cut it down to the best, about 30 minutes. But you can get probably in about 15 minutes here at youtube.universebox.com. You can get the whole conversation. Highly recommend it. But we're going to go ahead and play that now. And we'll be in chat to talk to you guys while it's playing. And then
Totally.
we'll be back for a lot more stuff, a lot more fun.
More stuff.
So take it away past, well, just Bill this
I
time.
wasn't there.
Universe Boxio!
Thanks, future Emery and Bill. I'm here today with a guest I met through Twitter, David Calkins, who works with RoboGames.net and is also at Mr_Robotics on Twitter. How you doing today, David?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. Hey, glad we were able to connect on Twitter. Yeah, I think it was Jill Pantozzi retweeted my request, and then there were just like a ton of people who responded, you being among them. So I thank you very much for that. Why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners just a little bit about, what you do?
Someday I'll figure out what I do with the robots, and I'll be able to give a concise answer to that question. In the meantime, so in the late 90s, I was a e-commerce web programmer. Or I think e-commerce had even been coined. And I got tired of programming everything for computer monitors and screens. I wanted to see something move. And so I went to a local robotics club, which was really filled with like 50-year-old, 60-year-old guys that hadn't changed in 20 years. And there was very little new blood in there. And I just wanted to learn how to make stuff move. I hadn't really made anything move programmatically since I was in middle school. And so I built a sumo robot. And sumo robots are a very good place to start for those who are interested in electronics and movement and sensors, because they have 2 sensors and 2 motors, and it's a fairly simple program. But then you get into lots of little subtleties of how to win. And basically a sumo robot is the competition robot. Instead of 2 big fat guys pushing each other out of a circle, you have 2 tiny little robots about the size of a Rubik's Cube pushing each other out of a smaller circle. And they have 2 sensors generally. One looks down at the bottom of the circle, and the main portion of the circle is black with a white outer ring so that the robot knows that it's not driving itself out of the circle. And then the other sensor is a forward-looking sensor to find the other sumo robot and then push it out of the ring. And so it's more a game of who loses rather than who wins, because a lot of robots end up driving themselves out of the arena.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm showing, because we have a video stream here too. I'm showing some pictures of these. Some of these are pretty cool.
there's a lot of people who put a lot of time and effort into it because it's a great event that relies on three very different skills. One is the mechanical engineering aspect of building a very reliable sumo robot that is sturdy, that's not going to fall apart, and that is torquey enough that it can make sure that it pushes the other robot in a head-to-head contest rather than being pushed itself. It relies on really good programming so that you know when you're getting good feedback from the sensors and when you're getting bad feedback from the sensors and how to ignore that. And finally, it relies on strategy of, when it comes down to it, it's two objects hunting each other out in order to just push each other as far as they can push. And so there is a lot of strategy in terms of when you write that program, how that robot moves around. So sort of like chess in terms of there's a million different ways you can go.
Do you normally know the exact kind of robot you might be going up against in this sort of situation, or is it just kind of you have to kind of prepare for several different eventualities?
You have to prepare for several different eventualities, and the better programmers will have pre-programmed. There's so much room on microcontrollers these days that they will have pre-programmed for those different eventualities. And the rules, state that you can point your robot in any direction when you start. So in fact, your robot could be pointed away from the other robot when you're starting as a strategic defense. So it runs away quick, finds the white line, and then sort of circles the white line to try and get around behind the other robot. But all of this is done autonomously. It's not done remote control. So anyway, so that's a very long story of my introduction into robotics. Then I started working with Lego Mindstorms because at about that time, the Mindstorm sets first started coming out. And here is a really great way to make stuff move and program, but without having to bend metal or cut metal or drill holes or anything like that. It's Lego. It's easy to put together and take apart. And the programming in this was also very easy. So if you didn't know any programming, they made it very easy for you to program your robot. Then, of course, BattleBots came along. And there were many other competitions around the world. There was robot soccer competitions, firefighting competitions, which is eventually going to be a fairly big commercial enterprise that today a lot of people have robotic vacuum cleaners in their home.
The Roomba.
Roomba, yeah, one of many. There's several companies now. And eventually the goal of the firefighting robot is that kind of like a Roomba, it's always on and it tries to be invisible because you can program your Roomba so that you never see it working. So that basically it's always vacuuming either at 3 in the morning when you're sound asleep or at noon Monday through Friday when you're away from the house so that you don't have to hear it or listen to it or watch it. Or you can program it so that it always vacuums at 6 p.m. so that you get the joy of watching your Roomba, move around the room. The goal of the firefighting robot is very similar, is that they're just going to always be plugged in, but should there be a fire in the house, the robot immediately senses the fire, runs out, and puts out the fire before the house becomes engulfed in flames, because it's those first couple of minutes that are so critical in saving a house. And so you can, with the combination of smoke detectors and fire sensors, make such a robot so that if your house ever catches on fire, the damage is minimized. So it's sort of a smoke detector with steroids. The problem, however, is that you want that firefighting robot to put out the curtains if they happen to catch on fire from the nearby fireplace, But you don't want the firefighting robot to be scooting out and putting out the candelabra during your anniversary dinner.
David, let's bring it back to you a little bit. What's your favorite robot you've ever built?
That's exactly like asking a parent which is your favorite child. If you have, especially if you have about 100 kids, which I do. So I love them all equally, but in different regards. I have bartending robots that can mix you drinks. I have a 5.5-foot tall humanoid robot that we rent out to corporate parties that will dance with people, make your jokes and flirt with people, and pour you wine if your wine glass is empty.
Oh, nice.
Combat robots, which most people know from the TV shows. So I have several 220 pounds of combat robots, as well as several 3-pound combat robots. Sumo robots, soccer robots, 14-inch tall android robots that do soccer and do kung fu. And they're also different. It's like having, it's like if I were the Duggars and I had 14 children. Each one has their own personality and their own likes and their own dislikes, and you love them all equally. And they piss you off all at some point in time. But I really don't have a favorite that I've made, which is interesting because I do have favorites that other people have made. Like there's Mechadon, which Mark Satrakian made, which is just this gorgeous hexapod, which weighs 480 pounds, and was actually the ring bearer at my wedding,
Nice.
as well as a star of the original BattleBots show on Comedy Central. There's Mark Pauline of Survival Research Labs has made several really magnificent large-scale robots. There's a lot of walking androids that people are making. It used to be a thing where everybody thought that walking robots was an impossibility. And suddenly, Sony really made the first feasible walking robot in Osimo that people could look at and say, this is a thing that can happen. And I call that the Roger Bannister problem, is that a lot of people will look at a problem and say, it can't be done, it can't be done, it can't be done, it can't be done. And they'll try to do the problem and they'll fail. And eventually they'll give up. And then somebody else will come along, tackle the same problem, and solve it. 10 years ago, walking androids were considered an impossibility. Now you get 16-year-old kids with $500 worth of servos making pretty decent walking androids at home, and you can either mill out the parts or 3D print the parts to hold the servos together, slap on an Arduino board or something, and make a pretty decent humanoid robot that can, not only walk but run, do cartwheels, stand on their heads, things like that.
Where do you see, like, now it's like you were talking about walking robots and everything that 10 or 20 years ago seemed impossible. What impossible thing right now do you see happening in the next 10 or 20 years with robots and robotics?
Programming the library of vision. There are things that you and I, as humans, take for granted about how we respond to. So if I'm walking across the field and there's a soccer ball there, I know that it's a reasonably massive object and that I should step over it or go around it. However, let's say that there's a white plastic shopping bag, which is blowing in the wind, which looks roughly like a soccer ball but has no mass. And I would know that I can walk right through that plastic bag without any problem. And that's a problem, if you're having cars driving, you have to recognize the difference between a soccer ball rolling across the street and a car should stop versus a empty plastic shopping bag blowing in the wind across the street in which you don't stop. A worse thing would be is if there's a semi right behind you that would slam into you and utterly devastate your car. So, you have this decision tree of things that you have to decide, and you have to program that decision tree. One of the things that I love to argue with other roboticists is, first and foremost, what is a robot? How are we going to define a robot? Vacuum cleaning robots are considered robots, and all they do is they move around, and they're a vacuum cleaner. Why is the vacuum cleaner considered a robot, but your dishwasher not considered a robot? Okay, the dishwasher doesn't have wheels, but the robots that build cars don't have wheels either. They're permanently mounted to the ground just as much as that dishwashing robot. So, it's a hard thing to define when is a thing a robot and when is a thing not a robot. And simply saying moving is not good enough to say, what a robot is and what a robot isn't. Another thing that we have to think about is moral programming. So people love to talk about Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. And the first law, that robot shall never, through action or inaction, allow harm to be caused to a human being. Well, the problem with that is that in everything we do in life, somebody is going to get hurt in some way or manner. And for those few people who have actually read the collection of short stories which made up the book of iRobot, it actually deals with that conundrum in each and every story of the robot has to break the first law in some regards. And in one story, the robot actually has a nervous breakdown because the primary character is in love with someone, and so she asks the robot, does he love me? And the robot knows that it will hurt her feelings if the robot says, no, he doesn't love you. So the robot lies and says, yes, he loves you, which builds up her desire to become romantic with the guy. And it goes back and forth, and the robot has to continue to lie because at some point her feelings are going to get hurt. Finally, she finds out that that the other doctor doesn't in fact love her, and is getting married to some other woman, and so she's devastated, and the robot has a nervous breakdown because, of course, now she's hurt. And we have to look at that in all considerations. If for surgical robots, for example, if a robot is programmed to remove my appendix, well, cutting me open in order to get my appendix out is going to hurt me. It's just the nature of the deal. You have to cut me open and then, snip things out, and that is going to cause harm. The same thing, if I break my ankle and there's a robot that's going to put my ankle back together, it's going to have to, cause a lot of harm in the process of that healing. Woman's head, at what point does the robot make the decision to shoot me or not in order to save the woman? And so there's basically we have to come up with this moral database of a decision tree of when does a robot do an act to harms. So humans are the ones who have to make that decision. And the problem is that humans don't always agree about what those decisions are. If I'm holding a gun to your head as a hostage, is a viable way out of that situation. And as we know, sometimes, those hostage takers can be talked out of the situation, and sometimes they can't. And so how do we determine which guy to shoot and which guy to not shoot?
Do you think it's possible that we're going to come up with, like you said, those hard defined rules, or do you think we're going to have to figure out how to make robots more individuals almost, to where they have each type of robot has its own individual morality and things like that?
I think it'll be both, because different people and different corporations will be producing different robots. You're going to see different moral sets in the same way you see that just with operating systems. Each time or a company, makes a robot, someone is going to have to come up with that decision tree, and someone's also going to have to be responsible for making sure that decision tree always works. Because in the middle of a hostage, you don't want your computer to crash. This is not a good time for blue screen of death.
No, I will say I did notice in the news this week too that I think it was they kind of focus on it to make sure that those systems don't turn back around on us and kill us or anything like that. Because I mean they are going to be putting higher levels of artificial intelligence and stuff in these to where they can make those autonomous decisions, like which hostage or which person to shoot in a situation, things like that. What do you think is the big challenge?
The big challenge is compliance. I mean, there's laws about everything we do that get broken all the time, and there's hand slaps. Big corporation X, releases all of your privacy data, and doesn't even get investigated by the police. Big company X, spies on you, whatever. So it's the compliance of making sure that those robots are programmed to do whatever standards we set upon them and behave appropriately. One of the worst problems that we have with robots is our human solipsism, that we want our robots to look like us. So everybody wants C-3PO. Nobody wants R2-D2. R2-D2 is really easy to make because it's a wheeled robot that can move around anywhere on a flat surface. But when it comes to stairs, R2's screwed. R2 can't go up and down stairs. If you watch the original Star Wars movies, you don't see R2 going up and down stairs. They just cut the camera angle so that he starts at the top of the stairs, and then they wipe to R2 being at the bottom of the stairs, and it's just inferred that R2 went down the stairs, whereas you can see C-3PO going up and down the stairs.
Daleks have a similar problem from Doctor Who.
Yeah, and walking around is a very difficult thing to do, even for humans. I mean, you and I trip over stuff every day. Sometimes you, as we say, we trip over our own 2 feet. You're just walking along, and somehow your one leg drags a little bit lower than it normally does, and your toes catch on the ground, and you stumble. You catch yourself and continue walking, but you have stumbled on your own 2 feet. You have to be smart enough to know that if you're going through a narrow gap between furniture, that you actually end up walking sideways. You don't walk straight. You shift to your side, and you're sidestepping through this narrow gap because it's easier, because the human body is more narrow front to rear than left to right, and so you sidestep. And so you have to teach the robot to do things like that.
Yeah, I saw a video a couple days ago online of a robot who, it was basically like supposed to be a robot who would come over and like turn this valve and everything, and it reaches out for the valve, and I guess it like had the cameras or like didn't have pressure sensitivity in the hand or something, and it reaches out into the air in front of it, turns what it thinks is the valve, but it's right next to the valve, so it's not actually turning anything, and then the whole thing just completely falls over because it's supposed to, it's trying to apply pressure to like balance itself while it's turning this valve, but it doesn't have the valve in its hand. It just completely flops over. Yeah, so basically we have to like program robots to have kind of like the Platonic ideal of everything, more or less, which easy problem, right?
Yeah, it's not at all. And there are a lot of great researchers who are working on algorithms of learning robots, where you put them into an environment with just this base set of knowledge, and they learn their environment from being in that environment.
Okay, well,
Um,
David, I've already kept you about twice as long as I told you right up front, but I wanted to go ahead and touch base real quick on RoboGames real quick before we wrap up. A lot of great information for our listeners and everything. Definitely appreciate it. But why don't you tell us a little bit about RoboGames?
because there's all these incredible problems in building the pie in the sky C3PO Butler robot. RoboGames was designed as the Olympics of robots, and that's what it is. Just like the Human Olympics, where you have 50 or 60 different events, RoboGames has 55 different events focusing on all sorts of different problems. So there's the combat robots, like you see on TV, which everybody loves to see because it's just really cool. And so that's sort of the boxing equivalent of the Olympics. But we also have the firefighting competition, in which you build a robot to find a candle and blow out the candle in a miniature scale house. And you have to save the baby, and there's a little baby in the house, and do all these other things. There's sumo robots. There's soccer playing robots. About 60% of the robots are autonomous. About 40% of the robots are remote controlled. There's robots events specifically for kids. We have about 10 events that are designed for kids from 0 to 17 so that they're playing on a level field. Because it's not really fair that a 14-year-old is competing against a 40-year-old in some of the. Although one of having done RoboGames for 12 years now, one of my all-time favorite stories. The second year we did RoboGames back in 2005, the firefighting competition attracted, because it's a very difficult robot challenge, attracted mostly 40-year-old professional robotics engineers, all of whom were quite smug that they'd come away with the gold medal. And there was this 13-year-old kid, Tony Pratkanis, who was competing against them. To intentionally use the pun, he just smoked all of them. And his time on, blowing out the candle and clearing the house was way faster than any of these professional engineers. And he just went on year after year, racking up the gold medals against these professional engineers. And it just goes to show that you don't need to be, a 40-year-old PhD in computer science or computer engineering or mechanical engineering to do good at RoboGames. It is taken very seriously in other countries, not so seriously in the United States, unfortunately, but the medalists from Mexico and Indonesia in particular are given presidential receptions every single year.
Oh, wow.
One of the U.S. contestants, Sylvia, who built a painting robot, 5 of our competitions are actually art robot competitions because not everything should be useful. So we have 5 art competitions. And Sylvia took the gold medal because she made a robot that could paint just about anything. You'd feed it a picture, or it could be randomized, and it would do watercolor painting. And she's now actually turned that into a business, and they sell those. And she actually got to go to the White House with her medal and meet President Obama with that.
Oh, wow.
Generally speaking, everybody, all adults who come to RoboGames, their favorite event is the bartending robot competition, in which a robot has to make a drink for you. And everybody is treated equally, just like the Human Olympics. So you have gold, silver, bronze medals in each of the roughly 55 events. And, that's the thing. It's just like the Olympics. It's not about money. It's about being the best in the world.
Yeah, I've been looking through the site here, and yeah, this is just fantastic because I mean, like you said, one, it's a great competition. Come out, try and be the best in the world. At the same time, it gives young engineers, kids, even college kids, and all through adulthood, something to shoot for and something to kind of focus on to push their art of robot building forward, which will push humanity forward in the long run, which I think is great.
I did this really I started RoboGames more out of showmanship of I wanted to put on a really good show for the audience. And there was definitely altruism in it, but that wasn't my primary goal. But now, many years later, it has become my primary goal, and I've heard so many stories that just some of which have made me sob hysterically. Of like one kid, Zach, came to our very first show in 2004. He was about to drop out of school. He was a very smart kid, but he was just bored. He was just one of those kids who was too smart for school, and so I asked to support him. And he came to RoboGames, and he saw, the robots, and he said, "This is what I want to do. This is it." This is in 2004, and it turned his life around. He started working harder in school because he wanted to go to college now and study engineering, and he did end up going to college and getting an engineering degree. And I talked to him like about a year ago, and he told me this story, and it was kind of sad because I vaguely recognized him. And when you're dealing with 1,000 contestants every year, as well as about 150 employees and 5,000 audience members, it's really hard to keep track of everybody. Mm-hmm. And Zach just approached me, and he said, I just really wanted to thank you for everything that you've done for me. And I said, hey, no big deal. Not knowing the story. And then he told me this story, and he said that, you've changed my life. And I have this job in industrial robotics, and it's my dream job. And I also have a sideline where I do kid shows, sort of mini RoboGames, where I take little robots and I do birthday parties for, like middle schoolers. And I get really excited about robots. And he's now actually quit his full-time job to do the kid party thing because it's become such a good business for him. I had to turn around when he tells me all of this, because I was just crying, because I'm like, it never occurred to me that I could inspire people to such a degree.
I highly recommend, like I've been sitting here like going through the site a little bit while we've been talking about it. At robogames.net, you can there's video, there's pictures, there's a listing of all the competition, past winners, a lot of really good stuff. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up with you, David. Where else can people follow you online and check out your robot stuff?
You can follow me online on Twitter, Mr_robotics. But for the most part nowadays, I don't build robots so much as I help other people collaborate. And I ensure that RoboGames happens every year and that they can collaborate. And unfortunately, one of my best friends, Len Fugget, who was an American living in Japan for the last 20 years, passed away, and that was also his great passion, was not building robots himself, but helping to ensure that other robot builders met each other and collaborated and came away knowing more than they started, and being more willing to build better robots. And so that's what Lem was all about, and that's what RoboGames is all about.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time this week with the loss of Lem and everything to come chat with us for sure. And it's the website for him is robots-dreams.com, correct?
And that was his blog of just stuff going on in the robot world, and it was pretty much the preeminent blog for robot news, where if you cared about robots in any capacity, you'd go to Robot Streams. I don't know who's going to take it over. I hope somebody will. There's also two very good magazines, Servo Magazine and Robot Magazine, both of which are great magazines if you want to follow robotics in all of their capacities.
Excellent. We'll include links to everything we've talked about here in the show notes too. But for now, I guess I'm going to go ahead. Thank you again, David, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to Future, Anne Marie, and Bill. Take it away, guys. And we're back.
We're back, and the music suddenly stopped in this awkward position.
Yeah, I forgot that it wouldn't fade out the music. But no, thank you so much
Yes,
for
that was
that
awesome.
wonderful talk on robotics and stuff. We did get a couple, some good stuff from the chat room here while we were sitting here letting the pre-roll roll. I first of all, Stephanie recommended a really good movie about AI and stuff called Eagle Eye, starring real-life cannibals Shia LaBeouf.
Real-life cannibal.
It's a video.
Okay,
I'll show it to you later.
Oh.
But basically, it's these two strangers thrown together by a mysterious phone call, and then there's some tracking and control and stuff. It's called Eagle Eye from 2008. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. And then Angel sent us this link to these really kind of creepy, very realistic.
I was resisting clicking that because it creeped me out.
You should click it. You should click it.
right,
They're
I'll
pretty
click
creepy. Realistic robots from Japan that. Basically, they created these 3 female robots that are very lifelike, very kind of almost uncanny valley lifelike. Like they even have like one of these little girl robots with like a chunk out of her neck and stuff.
Oh gosh!
But these are going to be put on display in Japan, I believe. I read through the article a minute ago. But basically, and used as research to see how humans interact with robots, robots interact with humans, all that kind of stuff. And then finally, I think it was Bobby Hawk who put this in the chat room. A hotel in Japan where you can get served by a raptor, which is kind of fun. And it's just weird. They have all sorts of like weird little robots and the weird robot kind of like
This is so creepy. Sorry, I'm clicking the human-like robots.
Oh, okay. But front desk clerks and stuff. Oh, yeah, and even on that human-like one they have where they've like taken apart the actual, flesh part of it and stuff to where you can see underneath and all the servos and weirdness underneath. Really super creepy.
Yep.
Creepy.
Perfectly creepy for all those interested.
Definitely. Okay, well, before we get on to our next box here, Anne-Marie, why don't you tell them a little bit about the Patreon?
Hi, guys. You may or may not know that we have a Patreon at patreon.com/universebox.
Yes.
To help fund our lovely, lovely podcast, Universe Box, Greetings from Storybrooke, and Legends of Gotham. We have a bunch of different milestones and goals and rewards, and we just recently passed our 3rd milestone, which includes patron-exclusive bi-weekly movie commentaries.
Which we put out.
Yes, which we put out our first one this week. Go check your Patreon.
Yeah, just for our patrons, for your reference, if you go over to patreon.com/universebox, then click on all post.
Yes.
You'll see Universe Box commentary number 1, Goonies.
Universe Boxio. Sorry, don't mind me.
Which, Goonies. It was a good time. We enjoyed it.
It was interesting. That's for sure. That's for sure. But all donations are through Patreon are charged monthly. You can start at 10 cents. It's really not that much, guys. 10 cents. It's in your couch. It's in your pocket probably right now. But you can go, as high as you want. We have different rewards, like we'll sing you a song, we'll write you a letter, we'll do a special podcast just for you, with you, if you feel like throwing down the scratch.
And before the end of September, we'll also be coming up with some physical goods to give you as rewards too.
We're working on trying to find some swag. We know everybody likes, and also tell us what kind of stuff you'd like. Because we're struggling, like everybody does stickers and keychains and T-shirts. And is there something else out there? Help us.
I've been thinking about, how I do these posters for Universe Box every week?
Get them printed up.
Well, we're almost at episode 25. What if we did like a whole big poster of all of the little
or like
mini
a calendar
posters?
or something?
A calendar.
We could do like a 2016 calendar.
That could be fun.
Oh, guys, anybody interested in that? Because I am. I want one. Let's see. And our next Patreon goal is to unlock our Lost podcast called We're So Lost.
We're So Lost.
Where we rewatch the Lost series. Well, not rewatch. We watch the Lost series that neither of us did and podcast about it. So there's that. We just wanted to let you know. And if you can't commit to a monthly donation, totally understand. But you're welcome to make a one-time donation, probably somewhere above my head. There is a support this podcast or support this channel button on YouTube.
And you can do that through a Google Wallet, I think it is.
Something like that. So yeah.
But
that.
yeah, we definitely want to thank our 31 patrons.
Yes,
who
you guys are
currently giving us,
amazing. We love
$2.01
you.
per month. And if you want to become one of the few, the proud, the patrons, go to patreon.com/universebox.
And we will be having our next monthly hangout on Saturday.
This Saturday, we're going to have Bobby and Michael Lucero, who you
in
guys
studio
might know, in
or
studio.
in Houseo.
And we're going to be, it's basically a pre-record for our tabletop episode. We're going to be playing a lot of tabletop games and then cutting down the best footage like we did with the drunk episode.
In case you're interested.
So it definitely, it'll be a lot of fun. Please look for more information on that at the Patreon. And let's see here. Okay, so I guess it's time to go into now it's time to find out if we'll rediscover the wonder we felt from our favorite movies and TV shows in the Wonder Box.
The Wonder Box.
So let's watch Robin Thicke's dad try to pass off a robot as a real boy in the made-for-Disney Channel TV movie Not Quite Human, based on the book series by Seth McAvoy.
All right, this ought to be interesting.
Okay, you want to go ahead and give us the rhyming...
riddling summary thing.
Yeah, the rhyming plot summary?
Sure. Jonas Carson made an automation. His name is Chip, and he's automaton. See, I don't even know that word.
Automaton.
Yeah, exactly. Jonas Carson made an automaton. His name is Chip, and he's an android phenomenon. His sister, Becky, might not like him much, but she'll change her mind when his heart is touched. If Vogel reprograms him, his chest will be booming. Proven Chip Carson is not quite human.
Not quite human.
That was rough.
So yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, it was bad.
A lot of big words there.
I don't do big words.
But this was a favorite of mine from my childhood. Anne-Marie hadn't seen it before. What did you think overall?
You know, without having the nostalgia behind it, it's a little rough for me.
Yeah.
Rough.
Well, like we were discussing earlier, it was, designed for 8 to 14-year-olds.
Right.
Made for TV movie.
Right. And, back when it came out, I may have been an 8 to 14-year-old, so I may have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I know,
little more.
I know, me and my sisters and everybody... everyone I knew was super pumped about this movie because it premiered during the Disney Channel free preview where they do because Disney Channel used to be a paid channel.
Yes, I remember that vividly.
And they would do a week of just free Disney Channel for you to check out, and they would usually premiere a movie like this or Anne of Avonlea or something like that.
See that's something I can get behind.
Definitely.
That speaks to the Anne-Marie.
So
I don't remember ever hearing about this, so it was a little harder for me.
That's understood. I personally really I enjoyed the rewatch way more than I thought I was going to. I thought it was going to be something I'd have to push through and I'd remember some stuff and it would be kind of cool. But it actually touched on a lot of the stuff we discussed with David earlier,
right?
With as far as Asimov's 3 laws and everything about robotics. But one of the things that kind of struck me was this movie is completely. It was made in '87, I think, and it completely '80s'd out. First of all, the music in this show, and we'll play a little bit of it here. Yeah, so many '80s music montages. It's
Seriously,
ridiculous.
It was crazy.
And also, it was set in a high school, like a lot of '80s movies, and of course,
every '80s movie was set in high school.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, there's a dance during the movie that is a major plot point, a major sort of breaking point for the movie. And then there were, all of the characters, all the teenage characters in the movie were 80s stereotypes like we all know, the know-it-all computer geek, the jock, the evil womanizing coach, the evil businessman. Also, one of the characters who didn't really fall into a stereotype was Cody from Step by Step.
Who was he?
He was the guy who Becky wanted to date, who Chip's sister wanted to date. That was Cody.
He was the hunk?
Yeah, he was the hunk. Cody from Step by Step. Yep by yep. I liked.
Can the music go away?
No,
Please.
no, it'll fade out here in a second. But I liked Chip the robot. He kind of falls into this group of friends. Aaron is one of the girls' names, and a couple other people.
Yeah.
And I really liked his group of friends. They were all kind of a little dweeby, but for the most part normal. They weren't very stereotypy. which I thought was nice. And also, a couple of the other big 80s tropes that were in this one, slow motion to indicate running fast, like they used to do on like the Bionic Woman, which I never really understood how that stands for running fast. If you make him run slower, then he
so you
should
could
be
see what
running
he was doing, because if he's running too
guess.
fast, you can't see. I don't know.
He's running so fast you couldn't see him with the naked eye, I guess.
Something like that.
And also at the end of the movie, spoilers. At the end of the movie, they do
Freeze
like
frame
a hug, freeze frame, and then kind of 80s music
Yeah.
under it, like.
Not again.
Come on, that's great 80s music right there. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, but a ton of 80s tropes in this thing. Definitely, if you like 80s tropes in movies, watch it just for that.
Totally. Okay, I should have read yours a little better. What?
Oh yeah,
You're reading mine now, and you're like, oh, that's everything I just said. No, it just there were parts of it. It definitely felt like your classic '80s teen movie. With the high school, you have the local hangout. Of course, there's a dance. There's always a dance with the ugliest dresses I've ever seen in my life, and someone always gets into a fight with the local bully,
Yes.
who is either wearing black leather or a cut-off shirt.
Didn't you think the local bully? Because there's a scene where the local bully is beating up on the know-it-all computer geek.
Yeah.
And Chip steps in the way
Yeah.
there and kind of punches him, or in
No,
the
he
bully,
punches-
the
the bully
bully
punches
punches
him.
Chip, the robot, and like clang, you know,
Yeah.
because he's made of metal.
Right.
Wouldn't you think that the bully would have been a little more suspicious?
Yeah.
Because he just like, oh, never mind. I
Yeah,
can't
and wouldn't you
hurt
think
this
the
guy,
computer
run
geek
away.
would have been a little bit more suspicious and
Very
not been
true.
like, sure, come on over?
Very true.
Oh, you don't know this guy. Like, that drove me nuts.
Angel in the chat room points out that Disney original series and movies, the only locations are high schools and suburbs. Very true.
Yeah, basically. Basically.
Definitely. Okay, so yeah, the main villain, the main antagonist in the movie is a toy manufacturer named Mr. Vogel. And first of all, I really enjoyed Joseph Bologna, or Bologna, as
Bologna.
As Mr. Vogel. You've seen him in other stuff. He's been in a lot of Adam Sandler's movies and stuff like that. But he basically played this toy maker who focuses on military-themed toys.
Yes.
And I loved him because he was just like, he was almost like a vaudevillian.
Vaudevillian villain?
Yes.
Ha!
You got it.
Score.
No, but very mustache twirly, but in all the best ways. Speaking of mustaches, probably my favorite line in the entire movie is, well, he ends up following Chip the robot around in a brown windowless van, which is really creepy, and he wears a fake mustache. And
Awful.
at one point he runs into like a cop car. And,
Yes!
yeah, and the cop comes over and approaches him, and they don't give you what the cop says, but you just hear a Vogel saying as Chip walks away from him, "Yeah, it's a fake mustache. Is that illegal?" I don't know.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I loved it. Because I guess a fake mustache isn't illegal.
No, not at all.
Technically.
But
But it
depends on what you're doing with it.
like I said, they made him a toy manufacturer who made militarized toys. Like Alan Thicke's character, he's supposed to be working on a bunny that has like military
Yes.
features, like a carrot for a gun or gun carrot.
No, but they
kind of
didn't
thing.
want the bunny.
Yeah, but that was what he was supposed to be making, and so I feel like this got dialed back from like it seems like the advanced technology that Alan Thicke's character Dr. Carson puts into Chip the robot. Would have been something that he would have discovered while working on it for an actual military contractor.
Yes.
So it feels like they almost Disney-fied the antagonist
Yeah,
and
they
dial
did.
it back to a militarized toy manufacturer instead of like a military contractor.
But then he talks about like selling it to the military and making hundreds of these guys.
Yeah, it felt almost like a last-minute rewrite. Like Disney Channel got a hold of it and they were like, "Okay,
Toys.
you can't make it a military contractor."
No.
But an interesting point is brought up because the big point of contention is that Dr. Carson has been working on this android named Chip, and so he hasn't been putting as much time and energy into building the toys and stuff for Vogel. So it kind of makes me think that, and then Vogel wants to get Chip, and he's like, "No, I'm going to get Chip because I just need him because I want to sell him to the military and all that." And I wonder, wouldn't Dr. Carson, since he made Chip while working for Vogel's company, need to automatically give over the IP to
No.
Vogel? Why do you say that?
Because he was a contractor. He fulfilled his contract. That's why he delivered the bunny.
Yeah.
The bunny was the contract. It was independently at his house on his time that he made Chip.
But see, he was also working on the bunny on it at his house. But the reason it made me think this is that a lot of contracts even have a clause in it that anything you invent while employed for a company, while working for the company, belongs to the company. Like I know a contractor for, I won't say who I work for, but someone who I work with who's also a contractor has this clause in his contract. And it also kind of bit Steve Wozniak in the tuchus. When he was working with Apple in the early days, designing the Apple II and stuff. So I kind of feel like, obviously, you wouldn't have much of a movie there if Vogel could have just sued him to get Dr. Carson to get Chip.
Yeah, but no, because Vogel didn't even seem to know about the Chip character, like the Chip robot, until he went to go get the bunny.
Yeah, not until the henchman kind of filled him in because he was friends with Dr. Carson.
Right, but not really. They worked together. That's about it.
But yeah,
I don't know. I don't think this was probably before those types of contracts were written. He didn't seem to have any sort of a legit reason or way to get him. He was just like, no, we're gonna steal the robot.
Yeah,
we're gonna steal that.
Yeah, but then again, like we said, it was a made-for-TV movie, made for kids and everything. So maybe not realism all the time.
There's a lot of not realism here.
Yeah, but you go ahead.
Okay, so going with not realism. Okay, not only do I think it's a little weird that this dude, the robot dude, just went over to this guy's house that he just saved from the bully, but how did he reach full power in half an hour using a regular plug in the bathroom? Because as hard as I try, it's really hard for me to think that he goes from almost dead to a full battery in half an hour because my iPhone still can't do that.
You know what kind of struck me in that would be a really odd request in the 80s. Like, can I use your outlet? But now it would be like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You need to charge
but you
your
wouldn't
phone
go to the bathroom.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
I don't even think he thought outlet when he asked him to come over. But like even my old Nokia that everybody and their brother had, you had to plug in overnight to get it to charge.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, it was probably just enough of a boost to get him.
No. He said he was at a full charge.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he said he had a full charge, and I'm like, that looks like the lamp plug. It's not even like hardcore power.
It must have some pretty wicked capacitors in there or something.
Yeah, something like that. So that was really a struggle for me. God.
Muster in the chat room says that. Referencing the whole contract issue, that's what happened with the Mattel lawsuit against Bratz. The inventor of Bratz worked for Mattel, was sued, and now that's why we have Goth Barbie, etc., as part of the settlement.
Oh.
So
first of all, Bratz needs to fall off the face of the earth. Second of all, Goth Barbie, I can kind of see that she probably has a lot more pink.
They're brats.
Oh, they're awful.
Oh, and Angel attributes the quick charge to movie magic. I'll buy that.
Of course. But they say that it was a half an hour. Your phone charges in an hour, Bobby?
Well, there was a lot of dodgy stuff about the technology, which I didn't even get into here because it's really not worth getting into.
I couldn't help it. I was jealous. I want my phone to charge in half an hour.
I want my robot to charge in half an hour.
I want anything to charge in half an hour.
My next point is I wanted to talk a little bit about Alan Thicke, Dr. Carson's motivations. Now, it becomes apparent throughout the movie that building a chip-like robot was a dream that him and his dead wife shared, because he's a widower in the movie. So he was kind of...
No, he's a widow.
Widower.
No, a widow.
Is he
a widower is the person who died.
Oh, okay. But basically, he was making this robot for her, or as part of their unified dream, is the impression I got anyway. But it doesn't really change the fact that he was ignoring his daughter Becky to get it done, or that he made reckless decisions like uprooting their life, moving them to a whole new town, hiding out, all this stuff without getting her input. Because I mean, she's like 16 or 17 years old here.
She had to be 16 because the robot is 17.
Yeah.
And the robot was older.
Yeah, so he should have at least got a little bit of her input, and it definitely felt like he had been neglecting her after her mom died to build the robot
and
too.
moving her around. Like this is the okay, but the part that confused me. This is the third time we've moved since mom died, but she'd been at that school for 4 years. Mm-hmm. Like, why were you moving if you're staying in the school? I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I no comprende. No, I do not compute.
I also at the end of the movie, Muser says widower.
He's a widower. No,
He's a widower.
He's a widow. Yeah, a husband whose wife dies is called a widower.
Haha. Told ya.
Widow is a woman whose husband died. Widower. I fail.
It's okay. It's okay.
But-
you don't fail as bad as Dr. Carson did, though, because there's like a...
That was awful.
there's a whole setup earlier in the movie where he's like, okay, well, I've set Chip, if someone tries to reprogram him to turn him into a soldier or something, then you need an access code put in or he'll blow up. And it eventually, towards the end of the movie, they get to this point where, someone's trying to reprogram Chip and they need the access code.
Yes.
And eventually Dr. Carson gives it to him. And the access code was Carson, which is like, you're this genius guy who built this android and you made the password your last name. That seems very, very ungeniusy.
I do not believe it was true.
Okay.
I think that it was a fake access code.
A fake
Or
access code.
not necessarily a fake. It was an access code to something. I think that there was more than one access code. Because what they say is that if somebody tries to reprogram Chip, he will self-destruct. I don't think with how much energy and love is put into this robot thing that is ever going to happen. I think that there may have been like different access codes that told the system to do different things. Like Carson basically said, pretend you're shutting down, and then when it's safe, come save the humans, because saving the humans is like what his thing is. I cannot leave a human in trouble. So I think that it was a fake access code.
Yeah, I can totally buy that. And I mean, there are real world applications like this too. Like if you have like an encrypted hard drive, specifically with the program TrueCrypt I'm thinking of, you can set it up to where you put in one password and it opens up like one version of Windows that doesn't have all your personal stuff in it.
Nice.
So that way if someone like gets your laptop and they're like, okay, we need your encryption password or you're going to jail or something, you can give them this fake password. It'll open up a fake Windows and keep all your actual secret stuff.
Secret.
Yeah.
Similar to that, yeah.
But let's see here. Chip is a robot. A couple things about that.
Chip's a robot.
That's like we were talking about earlier about his battery running out.
Yes.
It was basically a struggle where he hears the computer geek getting about to get beat up.
Yeah.
But he also knows he has to get home and charge
Plug
before
in,
his
yes.
battery runs out. And it's the exact sort of dilemma that David from RoboGames was talking about earlier, where like, what choice do I make? Because I have two contradictory instructions. In there's another example where he's struggling with learning how to because he's been programmed to tell the truth all the time, but he's telling too much of the truth and kind of putting his situation, because they're trying to hide from everyone at the school that he's a robot.
No, talking about everyone.
Yeah, so Chip needs to learn subtlety to graduate to emotions and sort of real boy status, which is something he's chasing throughout the entire movie.
Am I a real boy yet? No, Pinocchio, you're not.
But I did enjoy that it made him smile a little more throughout the movie until he finally has that emotional moment where his feelings are hurt by his sister, and to kind of indicate that he's slowly becoming more emotional. But it was very frustrating because we talk about the self-destruct mechanism, and Chip was told about the self-destruct mechanism earlier in the movie, and then when the bad guys catch him, he tells them about it so they know that they need the code and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like almost, because there's an accident where he gets some liquid spilled on him and he has some circuits fry or whatever. I was afraid that it might have wiped out some of his emotional memories that he had gained and kind of that nuance he had learned about how to tell the truth without telling the whole truth, Well,
nothing but the truth.
But there was also a pretty good twist at the end where Chip uses his hyper literal logic, where you're like, for example, the teacher at the beginning is like, I don't want to hear another word from you. So
that scene was hilarious, though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was like, that kid is the most popular kid now because of that.
but he's like hyper literal, and he kind of uses that hyper literal logic to trick Vogel in the end to get him to climb into this crate.
Right.
Which was kind of fun. Subverted my expectations because I thought he was just being literal Chip, you know. But no, it was a trick.
It was a trick.
Okay, you had a couple of concerns about the sister Becky, who, by the way, played in the Selena Kyle episode of Gotham, was one of the people collecting kids to send to.
She was the old
Becky.
lady?
Yeah, the old lady, the lady with the glasses.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the same actress. I can't remember her name. I'll look it up here.
Yes, please look that up. I need a side by side. Okay, so Becky confused me. So from the second that they walk into this new school, it's already like she's been there before. Like, I know she said she's gone to another school, but, you know, she already walked in. She knew where she had to go. She knew what she needed to do. Like, I get, and like, what? Ding, ding, ding.
Oh, sorry.
I get that she was like all about trying to get with the hot guy and whatever, but she already seemed to know her way around everything. It didn't seem, nothing seemed new to her. She was already adjusted. It felt like she already had friends. The hot guy already knew who she was. Like, there was no imagination happening here. Like, anybody who's ever been the new student.
I was wrong on the Gotham thing, by the way. It was played by Robin Lively. It was another redheaded actress from the 80s that I was thinking of. But
see, that's how he sold it to me too. He's like, no, one of the women who was in there isn't. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. So I win. No, it just seemed weird. And then she was like always agitated with her brother making a bad impression on people since they were new and messing things up. But it didn't matter because it was like she'd gone there her whole life.
Yeah, and she also went back and forth between like being like very like rude and very kind of, well, you all say bitchy.
Yes.
To being just gun ho, let's do it, Dad.
Whatever you want, Dad. Yeah, it was really weird.
And Angel T credits Disney plot convenience. Very
True story.
Also, she wasn't very good at crying at the end there.
She wasn't,
like,
no.
Everything's bad, Dad.
So sad.
And that's not even an exaggeration. That's about what it was. But okay, so it's time to, does it pass the wonder test? Does it hold up to the wonder that we felt when we watched it? Or at least I watched it.
I thought I filled this in.
Oh, no, that's fine. But Anne-Marie, why don't you go first?
Please don't make me ever watch these types of things again. I'm sorry. If it's from the 80s and I haven't seen it before, I don't want to see it now. And even if I have seen it before, I probably don't want to see it now. Things like that, just for some reason, they don't, it's not sticking. The nostalgia's not even like helping. You know, I just know not so much.
I think we did decide today too to refocus the Wonder Box because sometimes
it started to veer to being only one of us has seen it or neither of us have seen it.
We're gonna from here on into the future, we're gonna make sure we've both seen it before,
right? So that there's actually reliving the wonder
and everything like that. But another Wonder Box next week. And as for me, yes. I loved it. I was honestly expecting to hate it. I think it was cheesy, but have a couple nostalgic moments. But it was pretty funny in parts, while bringing up a lot of good philosophical points about robots and the challenges we as a modern society still have to overcome to have chip-like robots.
Right.
I'm definitely going to watch the other two movies for sure. And I hopped on Amazon today and ordered the first book in the series because I haven't read it since I was a teenager. So I wanted to read it again. So. But lots of good stuff. Okay, Amory, if you want to go ahead and start your move.
Oh, okay.
Okay, next up, we're going to go ahead and hop into the idiot.
Do I keep this on? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll probably have to bring that over with you. Yeah, but we're going to go ahead and hop into the Idiot Box here. If you don't know, in the Idiot Box, we sit back and make fun of films and TV shows from the past. This week, we'll learn how robots can help the modern housewife in Leave It to Rollo. And Amory is going to join me here. She's going to get her mic up. Let's see here.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. And they're talking.
It's like a whole different sound now.
Yeah, they're talking about AI in the AI movie. The AI movie in the chat room. I love that movie with Haley Joel Osment. It's a pretty good movie.
Oh, Haley Joel
Let's go ahead and get it started here with Leave It to Rollo.
Okay, Leave It to Rollo.
Leave It to Rollo. From the Prelinger Archives, we'll have the link in the show notes at universebox.com.
Leave It to Rollo.
Turn it down a little there.
It's kind of nice. I can actually see the screen.
Yeah, I did set up the monitor a little differently, which is why we have to do this new setup.
Yep.
There's a guy
Okay.
working on transistors.
He's the robot repair guy.
Rollo.
Rollo.
There's a scram button.
There, miss. You see, the
Spoiler.
head are feeding back into the stimulus reaction activators, causing non-snaps of the motor control resistor units.
That wasn't English.
That's a lot of gibberish.
Uh-huh.
No, lady, that's bad.
That's
The
bad.
generator circuits are tuned asynchronously, and that causes contact.
Muster, what'd you think? Tell me.
That's bad, isn't it?
That's bad.
No, that's good. From now on, I don't think there'll be the slightest trouble with your robot.
No more
Your
trouble with
mental
your
problems are
robot.
completely
With
solved.
robot.
Robot.
R-O-B-U-T.
I would like. Why is get hat and get furnace like things?
A get hat button is pretty weird,
If there's
for
anything
sure.
else you
Get
want
hat.
to know about your robot, don't hesitate to give us a ring.
Don't hesitate to give us a ring for robot.
Your friendly neighborhood repairman.
Oh, my.
You might want to back up off that mic a little bit.
But it's fun.
That was
It's
a nice
hard.
robot there, though. I liked it.
Yeah. Why does it look like the robot is flipping us off?
Because he is. He's like, you get your own
burpy
door.
burp.
Answer your own door. That's like a very limited number of switches.
It is, and obviously Miss Pretty Slow. Is she getting flowers? I want flowers. According to my time hop, I got flowers like 2 years
Rollo,
ago.
retrieve flowers.
Rollo, please sign for flowers.
Is he going to kill the flower delivery man?
Maybe. Ooh,
Chase him, Rollo.
get him, Rollo.
Go on, Rollo, chase him.
Backing off of my train. Yes, the lava. Oh, it was adorable. Is there like make coffee?
There's no Rollo.
There was no cut button.
Yeah, she didn't push
She
any
didn't
buttons
push-
for that.
It just like did it.
And Rollo can't put the vases or the flowers in the vase.
How is
what
that
gives
gonna-
Rollo?
I don't understand.
And what's up with that like temperature gauge on Rollo? Is that to see if he's?
I don't know.
Whoa!
Rollo.
Oh, is he spraying them with oil or water?
I think he's a vacuum. He's a vacuum.
Nice.
He's a Roomba.
He's a Roomba. The Roomba before the Roomba. What's next?
Make bed.
Get dinner.
Get dinner. Is it good?
Get dinner
Yes,
in bed.
Mom.
Order Chinese
Rollo.
Rollo.
Yes. Order me Chinese Rollo.
He moves very slowly though. Much more slowly than a 50s housewife has any right to.
What is this? Oh my gosh. Oh,
Whoa.
that was a lot of fun.
Rollo the flamethrower.
Get door. No, she's just gonna do it herself.
I guess she doesn't need Rollo for that. Or he's busy getting
Oh,
no.
setting the table.
What was that? Dinner's ready.
Yes,
Bell?
Rollo the robot. The chromium-plated
The
butler
robot.
is just a daydream after all.
Aww.
Aw.
But not so Rollo's little
How sad
brother
does her
and sister
life have
robots.
to be that she
The
has to like
millions
She
imagine
imagined
a
a
robot?
robot.
servants
Yeah.
that never ask for afternoons off. The amazing machines and gadgets that almost seem to think for themselves.
That's a crazy coffee.
The
maker.
tiny clockwork brains and heat regulators on our kitchen stoves apparently do almost everything except read the cookbook. Thinking machines
Rollo read the
like this
cookbook and
keep
you got
gold
rid of
and
him.
brown
You
slices of
dissolved him
toast
out of
from
there.
turning into slabs of charcoal and keep the coffee hot until we're ready to start dunking. Then there's a tea kettle that's been trained never to boil dry.
tea kettle.
When the water is gone, the kettle simply
Whoa.
pulls out its own attachment plug.
That was
Wait, did
weird.
it just?
And
I don't
here's
think
a
I've ever
gadget
seen something do
ought
that
to rate
before.
a
I think
bow
it's
from every
dangerous.
That
dog
was-
in the country.
Yeah,
A
especially like
Fido
having that
feeder
power
that
plug
never
hanging out there.
forgets when the pup is dining home alone and the rest of the family is dining out. What's more, it tells him when
That's
to come and get
awesome.
it.
A
In offices
Pavlovian
and
response
schoolrooms,
there,
too,
literally.
Robots have learned to turn on the lights. This little electric eye measures the amount of daylight coming in the windows. When the light level outside drops below the requirement for good visibility, this robot throws a switch, and the first bank of lights goes on.
Robot.
No robot
They have a
machine
robot like
has
that
ever
right
been
outside.
accused of being absent-minded or careless at its work. Here, a robot that never sleeps nor winks, nor looks out the window, stands guard over the men who
manufacturing
work at
robot.
this giant press. As long
That
as the
robot took
can
our
see the man,
jobs.
the press won't budge an
Robots.
inch, and that's mighty important
Darn
on a big
robots.
job like this. Did you ever hear of anyone getting his lap caught in an elevator door?
No. I
That
definitely have
can't
never
happen
heard of
here,
that.
Because as long as there's anything in the way, this door can't close.
Ah, the robot light.
Step back, please. There's plenty of room in the rear of the car. All right, then, don't step back. Just take a deep breath and hang on to yourself.
Get out.
Take a deep
There's
breath
a weight
and hang
limit on
to
this
yourself.
elevator.
One little robot, for example, always remembers to serve drinks when it sees anyone walking around with a thirst. A beam of light is aimed across the
It
fountain
seems like it
and
could
into
get
an
wasteful.
Why
electric
don't you go
eye.
from the side,
When the
kid?
beam of
birds
light
would
is
learn
broken
that.
by a solid
Yeah.
object, such as this head, the electric eye control opens the
Such
faucet
as this
and
head.
takes a drink. This particular device is an automatic fire sprinkler.
We have one up there.
Yes.
Someday, maybe someone will invent a robot that can take a joke.
Oh.
Yes, Meester, please bring
Some
Rainbow
robots have
Kitty.
even learned to fly. Tiny automatic brains in giant
That's not a
airliners,
robot, that's just a
sensitive
plane.
to the slightest
Well, I mean,
change
there's kind
in
of robots
balance
on
or
the inside.
direction, relieve the busy pilots of the job of keeping the wings level, the nose on the horizon, and the plane headed in the right direction.
So
Don't
why are
look
they
now,
paying
but
the
this
pilot
motor
if the
car
robot
is
does
simply
everything?
full of robots.
Why do they still pay the pilot?
In the
I wish we had been
is a
saying
diet specialist,
robot,
a
robot the
brainy
entire
collection
time.
I like
of
robot.
jets and valves and
Robot.
floats that serve a health menu of gasoline calories and fresh air vitamins to the engine. A menu that varies with every change in speed or load.
I like that we just
The
stare.
engine likes its meals
Well, it's
served
interesting.
not too hot and
I
not
miss
too
Rollo
cold.
though.
So in the
Hope.
intake manifold, another
Hope's here.
mastermind
Hope's-
with a nervous
Hope,
system
there's
sensitive
still
to heat
robots.
uses hot exhaust gases to
insane.
warm the mixture before it goes
It's
into the
totally
engine.
safe.
It's safe if you don't mind Rollo.
Step right up close to the platform and see the Siamese robots.
Siamese robots. I like how they have these little transparent robots going along the machines.
That guy right there.
One is sure that the spark ought to be advanced. The other is equally sure that it ought to be retarded.
You know what?
just
I
right.
miss Rollo. Like I
Bring
miss
back Rollo.
I miss
Each
Rollo
takes
so
his
much. I
turn
almost want to
according
call
the
this
speed
idiot
and load.
box.
And between them,
Done.
they manage to
Yeah, I
stage
think
a
I think we're gonna
grand
call it.
performance
I
every
think-
time
Calling
they
it.
go on the road.
Mike drop.
Lack of Rollo.
robot,
Lack of
a
Rollo
very
is
small,
cutting this idiot
intelligent-
box short. Get back to your seat.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna-
That's fine.
I gotta do things.
Silly robots.
Silly robots. Tricks are for kids.
Maybe we should go back and replay the
There we go.
Rollo part again.
Oh, don't do that to
No,
Hope.
I'm not gonna
No,
do
because
that.
that probably is what terrifies her.
No, but thank you very much for nothing for losing Rollo.
Bring back Rollo.
Bring back Rollo. Bring back Rollo. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the idea box now, which is where you guys submit ideas to us through the idea box at universebox.com/ideabox. You just come to this forum, you type in your idea for something else to talk about. Do you say robot? And then click submit. And then we have your idea. And we have a few questions tonight.
What do we got here, Bill?
Let's see here.
That's right. I called you Bill.
All right. Okay. First question. What robot-like invention that exists in the world today would you like to own, Anne-Marie?
I want a Roomba.
And I'll put this in the chat room too. You want a Roomba?
I really
huh?
want a Roomba. I hate sweeping and vacuuming. I want a Roomba.
A
And if
Roomba.
we can get me a robot that folds my laundry too, I'll take that.
Okay. And as for me, I'm probably gonna say. Oh, and I'm showing the doc.
Oops.
Excellent.
Hey, now you know what's coming.
Yeah, but I think I'll definitely have to go with the self-driving Google car that they're working on right now. Just because I hate driving and I like being productive, both of things which you can do with the self-driving
robotic?
car. Once we get that whole fission thing figured out. Okay, let's see here. Anne-Marie, do you own anything right now that you would classify as a robot?
My smartphone?
Your smartphone?
I don't know.
Your smartphone?
It can do a lot. I mean,
See, I actually use
the amount of things that this guy can do. Well, my tablet too. Hi, great. Looking forward to
actually-
it. I have texts.
I classify Siri as kind of a robot. Like,
Siri
watch
is
this.
kind of a robot.
Siri, say hello. Oh no, it did it, but yeah, it does it. It does it.
Siri, how are
Siri's
you today?
kind of a robot. Okay, and Hope says she wants a Roomba.
I'm fine,
for
baby
her-
cakes. Thanks for asking. Oh, she's sassy.
Whoa.
Oh, you're sassy, Siri.
I don't really like these arbitrary categories.
Oh, but it didn't say baby cakes. It typed baby cakes, but it didn't say it.
Aw.
She calls me baby cakes.
Nice. And Hope wants a Roomba for her
Bye.
cats to ride on.
That would be fun. I guarantee at least one of my children would try and ride it. Oops.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying phones. and
Oh,
stuff
oh
that
my,
they own.
oh my. Let's just not see what it just thought I said.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Siri is a naughty girl.
You'll have to tell me later. Okay, now this one, because we talked about Not Quite Human earlier, and there were other examples of this in the 80s, like the sitcom Small Wonder, for example. But if you found out your friend or spouse was a secret robot, would you keep their secret, Anne-Marie?
No, I cash in on that.
You would cash in on just completely sell.
Bring me the money.
If I was a secret robot, you'd sell
Bring
me out.
me the money.
That's a shame.
I'd retain all rights, though.
That's a shame. Okay, as for me...
Are you really surprised? What would you do if I was a robot?
If you were a secret robot,
Yeah.
I would keep your secret.
See, you're a better person than me, but that's not the first time we've discovered that.
Because you learned as a robot, you learned to love a human being, and I would respect that, and I would try and help protect that.
Yeah.
Until it became inconvenient.
And then you'd sell me out.
Once the army shows up at the door asking for my robot wife, I'd probably sell you
The
out.
army's not going to ask for a robot female. They're not even letting the females that are there do anything.
Fair enough. Let's see here. Michael Sarah Robot says, depends, but probably. Probably would sell out, would keep the secret.
Hope you would not leave it, burn it, and hit it with your car.
Hope does not like robots,
which is why we're actually surprised she's joined us this evening.
And then Angel T says, yeah, I probably would. Not my place to tell people that my friend is a robot.
Oh, no, it's
Very
totally
true.
It's totally my place. Beep, boop.
Oh, and Muster considers the Keurig a robot.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Oh, Michael Lucero Robot goes on, if the friend had fooled me thus far, it must be a sentient robot. So that's pretty important. So
see, now I'm not like selling you out for science. I am cashing in on you and making you a sideshow.
Sideshow?
Yes. I'm gonna hold the Meeks Carnival, and we're all gonna see the fun tricks that Robot Bill can do.
The Meeks Robot Carnival. Come one, come all. Come one, come all. You only say carnival because you know my dad was a carny. True story.
That's not why I said it.
Okay, Anne-Marie, we're going to get to the feedback here, including Hope's feedback in a minute.
Hope.
But why don't we find out what's in the box for next week?
Oh, hold on. Let me find the box. Hold on. Beer,
what's in the box?
robot.
What's in the box for next week?
The box.
The box for next week.
A smaller, already open box.
Yes. What could be in the box for next week?
Oh, hold on. Let's put that over there. It is robot stuff. Oh, wait, no. It's college.
Yes. Next week, Universe Box is getting our Learn On.
Our printer ran out of ink.
Pack up the mini fridge as we go to college on next week's Universe Box. What's your major? How long did it take you to pick it? Ever go to a crazy dorm party?
Yes.
Tell us how you juggled school and a part-time job.
Not well.
We're talking college next week on Universe Box, and you guys better keep it down or else I'm going to call the RA in here right now.
Nerd.
I'm friends with them.
Nerd.
I've partied with them.
So have I. Nerd.
And also, we are doing a Wonder Box next week. It is something we've both seen. Goodwill Hunting, because it takes place at a college.
Yes,
So
it
we
was
thought
a
that
struggle. I really
yeah.
wanted to do Sorority Boys, but
I've
based
never seen it.
Yeah,
So
of course.
So
Yes.
new rules, refocusing on the Wonder Box. So please feel free to send in any old college stories or your thoughts on Goodwill Hunting.
Yes.
To universeboxshow at gmail. Sorry, I'm just
That
turning
was
this
you.
off here. Universeboxshow at gmail.com. Tweet us at universe_box. Facebook is facebook.com/theuniversebox. And the voicemail number is 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352. One story from you guys, from our storytellers this week. But it was actually submitted, and you can totally do this, submitted as a video.
We love videos.
Yeah, definitely. So
So I'm going to have to come over there to see it.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm coming back over.
But we're going
Coming
to go
now.
ahead and play this video from Hope. Take it away, Hope.
Hey, Bill and Anne-Marie. I
Hope.
regret to inform you that I will not be watching your episode of Robots. I am not going to be there, and that's because I have two phobias in my life. The first phobia is a fear of falling from low heights. Like, if I fall off something like high enough
I have
that it
that
goes
one,
flat
too.
and I die instantly, that's totally okay. But if I fall off something that's kind of low and I'm going to survive, but I'm going to be in an immense amount of pain for a very long time, no, I don't do that. But the other phobia I have is of robots and androids and AI and artificial intelligence and like the robot revolution. Like, I have this awful fear of androids. And I wanted to talk to you about like how I got this fear and where it came from, and are we heading towards that future? Okay,
Dun,
this is
dun,
gonna be
dun,
hard.
dun.
Okay, bye. Growing up, I didn't have that fear of robots that I do now. Little things, though, really bothered me. I hated watching glitch videos of gamers exposing the essence of how games work, like finding the Triforce in Zelda's castle. I was always scared that they would break the system. It really unnerved me. But why would I care whether or not someone else's system broke? It was their choice to run that risk, right? I think the folly comes from us putting feelings in the machines, that they might possibly think like men. But they don't. Machines aren't men. It comes from our pride as humans to try and make ourselves God in a way. We build machines in our image. This was the theme in a movie I saw when I was 16 years old. It was the movie that started my fear of robots, artificial intelligence, and androids. The Animatrix came out in 2003. It was a series of 9 shorts by 7 different directors. It mixed CGI with traditional Japanese anime styles to portray various points of view before, during, and after the events of the first Matrix movie. Some were about how other individuals, like Neo, saw through the Matrix. An Olympic runner, for example, used his sheer human strength and willpower to outrun the program, only for agents to trigger his body to break and tear an ACL. He fights to continue through the pain and complete the race, only to trigger his real-world self to awaken and see the Sentinel robots and the truth. They throw his mind back into the Matrix for him to awaken in the hospital, crippled for life. There were other stories, like a girl finding a loophole in the Matrix while looking for her cat, Neo summoning a disillusioned teenager for help, a noir detective named Ash meeting Trinity from the movie in the Case to End All Cases, and a robot befriending human freedom fighters, reasoning that they were superior to his own fellow robots. The 2 stories that messed me up the most was called The Second Renaissance Part 1 and Part 2. These depicted the original war between humanity and the robots that led to the events of the Matrix. In the near future, humans used robots as slave workforce while they lived in luxury. They created robots, like God, in their own image. Everything changed with the court case of the android B1-66ER. It was the first time an android murdered a human. It killed his human owners, who it called his pets, because they were going to deactivate it. It claimed that it didn't wish to die. This was the scariest line to me. A robot had sentience to understand death. I was terrified for the rest of the film. They used the Dred Scott case from 1856 against B1-66ER, stating that the android, like African Americans at the time, were property and had no rights. It led him to being destroyed. Humanity rebelled with their android friends calling for robot rights. Then proceeded horrifying scenes of humans shooting robots at point blank, digging mass graves for them, and ripping androids apart as they screamed that they're real people. Many robots escaped to form their own nation in the Fertile Crescent called 01, which they noted was the birthplace of humanity. They were able to produce state-of-the-line manufacturing. Humans once again turned a blind eye to them as they made the best cars and computers in the world. Money is truly the root of all evil and pride. While the machine's economy flourished, humanity realized their stock markets were crashing severely in the machine's wake. Humans created a blockade to ban trade with the Android nation. Ambassadors from 01 went peacefully to United Nations to resolve this issue. Humans destroyed them, launching a war with the robots. Nuclear bombs didn't work against the androids as the war spread out in all directions. The androids waged war on the entire human race. Since the androids had help in creating human weapons, they knew how to stop the human army. One by one, humans gave over their territories. In a last-ditch effort to stop the androids, humans destroyed the sky to block the sun's energy from them.
No.
Androids left their human-like bodies and took the new bug-like forms in the Matrix movies. They were now greater than humans and the new gods of the world. The United Nations fired nukes at the robots, not caring if the humans in the way were killed. The androids took their human prisoners of war and learned to power themselves from human kinetic energy from the brain. This was the final blow as the United Nations finally admitted defeat to the robot overlords. As they signed the final treaty, the robots detonated a nuclear bomb, killing every human world leader left. Now they kept humanity in power plants that we see in the Matrix movie, letting humans live in the Matrix to fuel the robots. This two-parter left me in fear of what could possibly happen. Already we have created machines to outsmart humans as a novelty in the TV show Jeopardy! While people found this funny, I found this terrifying that we were already losing. There's already news reports of robots taking human jobs. As of August 15th, 2015, there was a panel of lawyers in Calgary to discuss whether or not artificial intelligence should be used in courtrooms instead of lawyers in human trials because AI wouldn't have human emotions to muddle in the affairs of the law. This is terrifying. This is incredibly scary that we're going in this direction. Stephen Hawking even said the success of creating AI would be the biggest event in human history. Unfortunately, it might be the last unless we learn how to avoid this risk. In the near terms, world militaries are considering autonomous weapons systems that can choose and eliminate targets. Humans, limited by slow biological evolution, couldn't compete and would be superseded by AI. When some of the greatest minds in our time, including Stephen Hawking, warns of the dangers of artificial intelligence, you should listen to them. One last thing, I just want to clarify, there is a difference between cyborgs and androids. Cyborgs are humans that have like robot parts to help fix an arm or like they lost a hand or something like that. And what we're doing right now with 3D printing and prosthetics and all that is awesome. Like that is totally okay. An android is a robot that thinks like a human. It's not a human that has robot parts, it's a robot that thinks like a human. So I'm totally okay with like cyborgs, and I'm totally find it fascinating what we're doing with 3D printing and making prosthetics and all this. So yeah, that's why I'm not watching your show, and that's my fear of robots. And it's scary how much we're going towards that road. Like it terrifies me that we're going in that direction. And yeah, okay, well, enjoy your show. I'll be there next week. Bye.
But you're there this week, Hope.
Oh my gosh. There we go. Yes, you are here.
You're here
now.
with all the robots.
Robots.
No, but you do bring up some good points, and
Very good.
Like
yes.
David said in our interview, I think it really depends on who is putting the robots together and sending them out. Like it's all about the people putting all this together as to whether it's going to be really good for us or really bad for us. But I thank you again, Hope, for that wonderful submission.
Thank you.
And Hope even brings up, that people can hack cars and stuff like that now. It's pretty insane. But again, we're talking college next week. Please send us your stories, universeboxshow@gmail.com, Twitter @universe_box. The Facebook is facebook.com/theuniversebox. And the voicemail number is 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352.
Throw what you know. Sorry. I'm so excited for the college episode.
Yeah, the college episode should be
the college episode's
going
to be 2 hours long.
This episode's almost 2 hours long.
I know, and I didn't see that happening.
But we're at the end of it, though. It's time for some takeaways. If we're going to have robots like we see in the movies, we need to teach them subtlety. Most of our jobs will be taken by robots in time. I think that's a given.
Hello, I am Robot Anne-Marie. How are you? Robots
that can make you a stiff drink are awesome.
Yes, please.
And if robots become sentient, we're in pretty big trouble. Pretty big trouble. You should be afraid of that. Okay, we want to thank you guys in our chat room every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. EST at live.universebox.com. Hope and Muster and Michael and Bobby
and Angel.
Stephanie.
We've had Stephanie and Monica this week. Yes.
All sorts of good people. Anne-Marie, where can people find you online?
Oh, I'm all over the place. You can find me on Twitter @AMDSimone, Instagram, UB Yes, Bobby. You be Bobby, but I be Anne-Marie. And I actually just started a new blog this week. It's the Disney Passholder Project.wordpress.com.
Excellent. Good stuff. You might see some pictures of me on there.
Yeah, just a couple.
Because we've been hitting up Disney a lot.
It's basically, we just got season passes, and I'm going to document all our trips. Enjoy.
And as for me, you can follow me on Twitter @BillMeeks. You can follow all of the podcasts we do at universebox.com. And if you want to pick up my book, bit.ly/King Sparrow. It's a fairy tale set against the backdrop of the natural world.
Ooh.
And we'll be back here next week to talk about college. So
college.
I guess that about wraps it up.
Drink a beer. Drink a
So until next time,
remember to think outside. Chug.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
No, that was much longer than I anticipated.
Oh my gosh, it was so much longer than I thought.
But that happens every week. We think it's going to be short.
So it's like we've gone from planning for a 45-minute to an hour-long episode to basically doing an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah. I'm
sure.
So
this is getting what the people wanted. They all wanted us to do longer and longer
episodes.
podcasts.
Yeah,
It's happening.
I'd assume once the fan casts kick in, we might be dialing it back a little bit, just a
It's a
little.
lot
bit.
of recording.
But hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yes,
Definitely.
seriously, and please send us some college entertainment.
And Bobby, Michael, we'll see you.
We'll
this
see you on
weekend.
Saturday.
And anyone in here, like I think we're gonna do it to where anyone can see the live stream.
Yes.
But only patrons will be allowed in the Hangout proper. But we'll have the chat going too and everything, because we're gonna have a Hangout on the laptop while we're playing the games, just so people can talk to us and stuff.
Totally.
Like that. So,
It'll be fun. I'm so excited.
But okay, we're gonna go ahead and head out of here. But thanks, guys. Good night.
Bye. Pumpkin. Get it.